Hi everyone! Today is a special day as it is the grand opening of our new restaurant, the Bistro Servi. Let's do a quick tour while guests are starting to arrive to the party. Starting at the entrance, you can see our newest addition, our parrot aviary. There is an outdoor aviary where the macaws can go out most of the year. When it's too cold outside, they also have a heated indoor space that is also visible to the guests. And finally, they have 3 separate enclosures in the back, in case we need to keep some of them separately. While we visit the facility, let me tell you more about the story of these groups of macaws. These are hyacinth macaws that were confiscated from a breeding facility in Normandy. While it was a well-known place, authorities found irregularities in the bird's identification. And when they investigated the place, they actually found tens of illegal birds detained in horrifying conditions. Nearly 70 birds were seized, and we were able to find a home for this small group of macaws. The hyacinth macaw is originating from South American tropical forest. It is often a victim of illegal trade and poaching to be sold as a pet, and in a few decades its population in the wild went from 100,000 to only 2,000 to 3,000 in the 1980s. Fortunately, preservation programs allowed its population to begin growing slowly again, to reach around 6,500 in the wild today. It can live to 60 years in captivity, and it is the biggest species of macaw. Parrots are one of the most intelligent birds. To thrive, they need lots of enrichment, which unfortunately most owners don't give them enough. It is also very social and is happier when it lives with other members of its species. Now let's head to our new restaurant and see if everything is set up for the big night. As we walk there, let me tell you more about the restaurant. So we are getting more and more visitors, and lots of guests give us great input on their time at the sanctuary. And lots of them told us they were loving the contact with the animals, but they missed a place to sit down and enjoy a nice meal with their family. With that in mind, our team decided to use this old building that was occupied years ago by the owner of the farm. It was actually his house, to make a restaurant. And as we started designing it, we actually decided to incorporate our group of single stags to the design. They were moved from our old facility to this new enclosure just a few days ago, and after all the construction work was done. This is the building. At the front you can already see the large terrace, which is covered with a wooden pergola, to which are attached hemp fibers to offer some shade to the visitors. The entrance is just right there on the right. It looks like people are already starting to arrive. For the occasion, we built a temporary stage and even an outdoor bar. It looks like the band is still setting up, so let's head inside. Meanwhile, maybe you'd like to know how we chose the name that's written over the bar there. Bistro Servi. Servi is actually the translation for deer in Occitan, which is a dialect widely spread in the south of France. And the word is also pronounced the same as the French word for served, which is appropriate for a restaurant. Here are the restrooms, quite simple. And this is the main dining room. It features large windows that allow the guests to have a great view of the deer. We have 2 different species, the red deer and fallow deer. You can easily tell them apart. Red deer are larger and more robust with impressive antlers that can grow up to a meter long. And in contrast, fallow deer have palmate antlers that resemble the shape of a hand with outstretched fingers. And their coats are often spotted. They are also a lot smaller. And there is the spacious outdoor terrace that has also a nice view to the pond. Now, while we're waiting for the show to start, let's see the rest of the deer enclosure. Our deer enclosure is home to rescued wild animals, many of whom have been brought here due to hunting accidents or after being found injured in the wild. Among our residents, we have a red deer named Quercus, which means oak in Latin, symbolizing the king of the forest. Here he is. Our one unique feature of our deer enclosure is the higher lookout point, where the deer can watch their surroundings, a behavior they would naturally exhibit in the wild to stay vigilant against predators. Our fallow deer are also named after different types of wood. We have ébène, which means ebony, épicéa, spruce, and érable, maple. You may ask, is it actually okay to keep male deer together? Well, actually, deer typically live in bachelor herds for most of the year, outside of the breeding season, male deer, of course. So as long as we don't introduce any female into the herd, we should be okay. We actually had a really interesting talk about this on Gunther's gaming Discord server with Ossie, and he pointed me to the animal husbandry manual that confirmed this for me. We are now back at the farm area of the sanctuary to see the petting zoo area finished. We decided to name it L'étable des fables, that translates to the fable stable, as it is themed around tales. You already know our three little piggies' homes, and here is the second enclosure of this area, the goat castle. The idea for the palletwood castle came from a local community project where volunteers came together to create a fun and sustainable structure for our goats. This allowed the goats to express their natural need for climbing and for jumping around. It was a really fun experience, so I think we might do other workshops like this in the future, where we build stuff for the animal with recycled materials. At the back of the walkthrough area, we made 2 separation pens that can be used to keep goats or other animals that need to be alone. And of course, we have these little sanitizing stations, and we encourage our guests to use them when going in or out of the enclosures. Finally, next to the goat enclosure, we have our wonderful playground, the Joker tractor, le tracteur farceur, for our younger visitors. It is also themed around recycled materials, this time using mostly old tractor tires that we got from local farmers. It features a mini tractor, a swing, a tunnel, a slide, and also small pretend animals to ride for the kids. That's the end of our tour. I leave you with this view of the goat castle while waiting for the party to start. Thank you for watching and see you soon.